talk about Will Smith's work ethic, right? Because before we talked about where it all started, how he was very successful, then got broke, and then ended up in front of Arsenio Hall, like, do, hello, put me on your show, and landed Fresh Prince, right? But after Fresh Prince, he had an amazing movie career. Amazing movie career. Countless of awards and everything like that. But I want to get really into how his mind thinks real quick as far as how he works. So let's go into that real quick.
Gifted with a talent and you have it. But skill is acquired through discipline. And, I've never seen myself as particularly talented. Where I excel is I'm willing to die in the process of acquiring skill. Like, it's, when I put my obsessive mind on something, I'm just dying. Yeah, right, exactly.
So, it's crazy because, and we were talking offline about this, where you see one side of Will as far as the funny bars, jokes, all that great stuff. And then to hear kind of just being obsessed with his work, right? And completely like 24/7 into it, right? And we have another clip to show that, but 24/7 into it and totally mastering his craft, right? I think that's out of this, because I feel like it's like two different things to an extent.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. It has you start thinking in a way like, wait, does anybody or everybody who wants to be on that level has to start thinking about that public persona and that private persona, right? And for those familiar with the flight assessment, you can kind of think like natural and adaptive. I can see that in a way, but it's also very strategically modified, right? Like it's brought together in a very strategic way. So when he talks about this concept of, going from talent to skill, him entering Hollywood and starting his movie career was really the first time that he talks about where he stopped relying on just natural talent and he started going all in on skill, which is pretty interesting. But this would, when you think about today's era, it's less about, and he mentioned this in one of the interviews, where back in the day, for you to be successful, you had to be on hideout, right? Like you only showing up for big occasions and people are like starstruck, like, oh my God, it's Will Smith. But in today's era, especially with just how branding is going, it's more about establishing relationship with your tribe, and this is something that you're big on. Do you think that today that like same model would work in today's, economy or today's kind of online market?
As far as what do you mean? Like being kind of away from
two sides. Yeah. Like being one way in public, one way in private. But I'm saying because today's, marketing and just online, everything is supposed to be one of the same. People want to feel like, nah, he's the same person, when I met him and he's the same way at home. Like, that's so cool.
Right. I think people respect when it's one of the same, but I think it's still very alive where you have two different personalities, one that's real life and then one that's virtual life, right? You see that, and we saw it with Beyonce early on, right? You see it with these entertainers as far as they have one side of, I gotta always show face, right? I always got to have a certain kind of facade about me because that's what the public knows about me, right? I think as far as when you get down the line with maturity and when you get down the line with how good your career is, you can act a little bit more as far as you and show your true authentic self, which we'll talk about later. But I think it still is very apparent nowadays of two sides. It just gets super respected when you do just one of the same.
Mm. Yeah. Facts.
So, but
Facts.
hey, that's what I need. I need a fax button. But I'll just do
Another one.
so. But I do want to. It's funny because we talk about the work ethic and we see how obsessed he is, but I struggled with this topic real quick
Yeah.
because what we think of Will as far as this great movie actor and everything like that, to find out that it wasn't natural to him, that he really acquired this acting skill, right? And that kind of like, so were you fake this whole time? What like it's not fake, but I would say like we normally tell people to be in their natural, right? And then when I started really thinking about it, I really thought about as far as like he naturally does have a gift of talking to people, of jokes, of personality, right? I think when it get to the serious roles and the level that he wanted to be in, right? He had to learn that. So though I think the acting part was more of an acquired skill than natural, I do feel that there's certain parts that was natural. I felt like he did draw from it to create the relationships in the acting world, to put a certain kind of swag to the role on certain roles, right? Like I don't think he could have put his own real swag to like Ali, because you really had to embody certain roles like that. So I think that's where the acquired skill came in, because he knew there's certain roles that I could be me in, Bad Boys, right? But then there's certain roles that I have to fully embody that person, and that doesn't necessarily come natural to me. And if I want to be the best in that, I have to learn that. What do you think about that one?
Yeah. So the interesting part on this one, I think it has a lot to do with the environment, right? So as a natural creative, I feel that when he first started in the music industry, he was vibing straight off of energy, right? And just the dynamic of the music world, it was the MC and the DJ, and you vibe together and you work off of energy. And I think it's very similar to what we saw with Jamie Foxx when he had to go from doing auditions as a stand-up to now going for big screen or movies, and they were like, yo, that energy is different. Like, you have to kind of tone it down. So I wouldn't say I would strip him of credit because it's not his natural self. I would say, though, that the lesson really here is that when it comes to what you are providing or your natural skill set, you have to understand that it has to be in alignment with the environment that you're in, right? Because if you produce more energy per se than what the environment needs, then it's not a perfect fit. So I think what we saw with him is what it was, adjust the energy, and it was like, whoa, no, this is too much energy for a big screen. And while I may have roles that will hit with that, I also need to know how to fill this place, because this is a big career here.
Lower your tone.
Sheesh. I agree.